Greetings comic book fans, I'm Jason and welcome to my comic book reviews. This week was a really good week, a lot of books that I was really looking forward to, and let's find out if they delivered. So we're going to start things off, we're going to do it the normal format, going to kick things off with DC, with the 2 weeklies, then move on to the rest of my DC books, then Image, then Marvel. So, kicking this show off is Batman Eternal, issue number 32. I really like that cover. Yeah, it does its job well. It gives you a glimpse of what's inside, but also it's quite striking. So yeah, I like that cover. The art inside, I really enjoyed. Jason Fabok is on this issue. I do think it's a shame that, like, where they usually have a writer will write it for 3 issues and then they switch to someone else. It's a shame they can't do the same with the art, because they have to work ahead anyway. So it would be nice, because I imagine when this is combined as a trade, every issue having a different artist, yet it's supposed to be the all one story, it's going to feel a bit more, I don't know if it's going to work as well as reading it as in one. But anyway, this issue we got Jason Fabok on art. I really do like Jason Fabok. As you can see there, Batman is looking awesome. Yeah, I really do enjoy Jason Fabok's stuff. So yeah, so the art I was really pleased about. Writing, Carl Higgins takes over from Ray Fawkes, who'd done so well the last few issues. And all in all, Fabok and Higgins go well together as a team. The writing here was really good. I liked how the beginning of the issue, it seems like things are getting a bit brighter for Batman, that he's finally beginning to win against Hush, because Hush has held the upper hand for quite a while. And it looked like the end of last issue and the beginning of this issue, like Batman is fighting back, that things are beginning to turn out right. There's a really great team up of Batman and Spoiler taking on Hush, which I really liked, and the combination of that scene was really cool as well. I'm really liking Spoiler as a character. I think they made that one misstep with her where she took out an entire prison, which I don't think, with the level of experience she's got, I don't think she'd be able to do that. But everything other than that one bit, I think they've really done well with this character. And I'm no one who's got no background. I don't know the Spoiler character, but I'm really liking her in here, and always really enjoy her when she's in the book. So yeah, so the early part of the book is really good. It's really like, yeah, Batman's coming back, and then Hush kind of drops the bomb and changes his plans up. And you know, if you've been reading Arkham Manor, the first issue of that, there was like, in that you've got Bruce Wayne who's got no money, lost Wayne Manor, and this kind of begins to explain how that happened here as Hush unleashes his next plan, and leads to a very explosive ending. I just really enjoyed this issue, really great issue, really enjoyed it, and I give Batman Eternal issue 32 5 stars out of 5. So moving on to our other weekly, it is Future's End, issue number 28. We kick off this issue, we have Lois Lane with her leap of faith, and she lands on Cadmus Island. For some reason, I'd got into my head it was Green Arrow's island, not Cadmus's island she was going to, but it makes a lot more sense that it's Cadmus's island. But I really like the Lois Lane stuff, and it's great how a lot of these different stories that at one time seemed separate are beginning to link together. The stories are beginning to link and head in the same direction, which I really like. That's really cool to see that, especially when you've been reading from issue 0, to see all those threads start to come together is really cool. I enjoyed the Rock Faraday and 50 Sue stuff. The Faraday, Rock, the Voodoo Gang kind of thing is a part of the story I wasn't enjoying, but I thought this issue, it was again, it's really strong because it's bringing a few threads of story together in that one bit, so that becomes better. I found the fight between the 2 Batmen a bit disappointing, but then again, it went the way it needed to go at this point. For me, the highlight story-wise was the end of this book, where we have Tim Drake, Ronnie Raymond, and Jason, and Dr. Yamazaki, and Madison, and how their stories are all coming together now as one big bunch, and I thought that was a really good way to end the book, and I'm really interested in where that's going to go and what's going to happen there. The only thing I think that let this book down, this issue, because I enjoyed the story, was the art. I would have sworn that this book was done by 2 artists, because there are pages that look good, you know, like you've got the Lois Lane stuff here, and that looks good. But then we go to the 50 Sue stuff, and the art looks different, and I just didn't think it looked like the same artist. We then jump to the Battle of the Batmen, and again the art, you know, shifts back to how it was earlier in the book, and then for the end of the book, it shifts back again. Now, looking in the back, we have just one artist, and there are no inkers named in the book, so I can't even say that it was an inker. We've got one colorist, so yeah, I don't know what went on there with the art. But yeah, I would have sworn it was 2 different artists, but or even 2 inkers. But that was the only thing, and that's really my minor gripe, because I did really enjoy this, and this is a very consistent book, and it was another good issue. Slightly let down by the Battle of the Bats and the art, but other than that, I feel those are minor gripes. I'm still really enjoying the series, and I'm really loving seeing the stories come together. So I'll give Futures End issue 28 4 stars out of 5. So now moving on to our final DC book now. It is Batman issue number 36, which features part 2 of Endgame. I love that cover. If I was still doing cover of the week, that would be my favourite cover this week, because yeah, I just really love that. How they have like a minimal amount of colour in it, but it just makes it even more striking. I really love that. The story inside is awesome as well. Story and art are just fantastic. Both Snyder and Capullo are 2 creators that are just on the top of their game right now, and Danny Mickey, I think it is, who does the colours as well. You've got to mention it because there's a fantastic usage of colour in this book. All round, it's just a really great package, and I've not been this excited or enjoyed this book as this much since Death of the Family, and they are just three creators really, if you include Danny Mickey, who are just on top form. I love the opening Superman Batman fight, and if the movie that they've got coming out, Dawn of Justice, if they get the Batman Superman battles as good as it is in here in that film, we're going to be in for a really good film. I loved as well that the fact that Superman's been infected with something, so he's not his normal self. So Batman's kind of got his contingency plans, but it's against the Superman he knows, not this, you know, Jokerized Superman. We then get a great twist as Batman knows who's behind this, and he's going after this villain, but he can't find him, and he goes to the place where he was last time, but he's not there. And we meet this character, Eric Border, who we met in the annual, and at the time I remember nobody ever said anything about this character could be somebody else. But this issue, it gets revealed who this character really is, and oh my god, what a jaw-dropping moment. 2 issues in a row, they deliver 2 awesome jaw-dropping moments. And to today's age, with the internet, to keep a secret like that 2 issues in a row, my hats are off to everybody who works with this book and everybody involved with this book at DC, because it just made it it's so worthwhile and so great when you get a surprise like that, because it's so rare these days. That was just, particularly on this kind of level, that was just awesome. The backup once again was really good about these escaped inmates from Arkham who've kidnapped the Doctor and are telling her the origin of this, and each of them have a different version of the origin of this one Batman villain, and it reading the main story makes a lot more sense of that. So yeah, I thought that was really good. All in all, this is a really great book. If you've not been buying this book because maybe year 0 year wasn't your cup of tea, this is definitely well worth picking up in single issues, because it's just too good to wait to get in trade. I've just really absolutely loved this book, and this week was difficult. There were like 2 really strong books that on any other week would have got pick of the week, but so it was tough. But this book I just was so impressed with on so many levels, and I'd give Batman issue 36 is definitely my pick of the week. So now we move over to Image, and we have Alex and Ada issue number 10. This issue is a bit slower than last issue. Last issue had a lot of big things happening. This issue, it's a bit slower. We have the culmination of a story, that really a plot point that's been going since the first issue, and the culmination of that. So that was cool to see, but like I say, it was a bit slower. Not that it was bad. It always surprises me, this book. We haven't got that many characters, but it's such an absorbing book. And even when you've got a slower issue that has a lot of dialogue and is a lot more about characters moving on and us reaching a point we've been journeying to, it's still so absorbing. It's really good. The art is super consistent every issue. It is really great and really clean. I would have an argument about the sex scene. I think went on for a page too long, but that's just me. You know, but yeah, I'm just really loving this, and the end of the book is like, oh my gosh, we are in for big trouble next issue. Really enjoying the book, and I'd give Alex and Ada issue number 10 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have Wytches issue number 2. This was bloody brilliant. I read this, and from the first page to the last page, it just gripped me and would not let go. I was just gripped all the way through it. Really good book. Great atmosphere. It's a kind of a horror book, but it's a more fast-paced than you'd expect a horror book. Usually the horror books move slowly and build up to like big reveals or somebody jumping out or something happening. This book, this issue especially, was quick-paced, but they cram so much into each issue, and it's so gripping. You're just moving along with the story. It was no point anybody asking me anything while I was reading this, because I was just I was mesmerised by it. I really liked Hollingworth's colours and Jock's art. I think they really added to the whole atmosphere of the book and were just spot on. Yeah, it was just really another really great book, and any other week this would have been my pick of the week. Any other week this would have ran away with my pick of the week. But this week, it only gets 5 stars out of 5, but definitely a massive recommendation. If you're not reading this, and you like really good books, this is definitely one. And like, it's like, not every book is for everyone, so, but I think this is definitely a book that deserves a pickup. If you can get issue number 1, because it's a bargain, issue number 1 with the amount of pages you got, pick up issue number 1. If you don't like it, you've lost nothing. You can keep that comic as an investment. But if you like it, it's definitely well worth jumping on now than waiting 6 months and then you want it in singles and you can't get it. Fantastic book, and I give it 5 out of 5. So that's all my indies this week, just 2. The rest of my books were all Marvel. Next up we have Axis issue number 5. This is just a really daft story, but it's really fun. If you sit down and analyze it too much, continuity-wise, it doesn't hold up. And there's a lot of kind of things, if you thought too deeply about, probably wouldn't hold up either. But it's just so much fun reading it. Last issue, I kind of had a bit of a problem with the heroes in retrospect, thinking back on it. In that, like, oh yeah, they're evil now, so they're acting like jerks. But what I liked about this issue a lot more was that we got to learn what they were planning. We get to understand their plans and their motives. And I remember, I don't remember where I read this or where I've seen this, but I remember somewhere somebody said that the difference between being sane and insane is that a sane person will think about killing somebody because they've pissed them off. They'll think about killing someone. They might even think about how they can get rid of the body, but they won't act on it. Where an insane person will act on that impulse. And to me, rather than good and evil, it seems the difference between these characters now is those inhibitions that made them be good, that made them say, no, I won't act out on this. They're gone now, so they're just acting out on everything they want to do. There's nothing there, the barriers that would hold them back. So if they feel, well, the only way to make the world be at peace is to kill this person, they'll go and kill that person now. So it's a bit tricky saying, you know, they're evil now. It's more like they're a bit more insane in the brain. However, I did enjoy the story. It's really, again, this is another really fast-paced story. A lot seems to happen in this issue. But we do at least get to look at the different characters and their motives and their plans and what they plan on doing moving forward. Just checking my notes. The only thing I would kind of say negative on this issue is the colour and the art. I just felt there was a lot of serious stuff going on in this book, but the art and the colours are kind of suited for a different kind of book, as it's a bit too bright and breezy when you've got serious ass-kicking stuff going on here. And I think that was the only thing that really let the book down, and maybe made stuff that was happening feel a bit more dafter than it was. However, I'm still really enjoying the book, and I'd give Axis issue number 5 4 stars out of 5. So moving on now, we have Superior Iron Man issue number 1. Iron Man's one of my favourite characters, so I was looking forward to picking this book up. Not read much of Tom Taylor, so I was interested to find out a bit more about his writing. My main concern about this book is the whole premise of the book is that Iron Man is this really unlikable character, and I worry about the long-term future. How many people are going to stick with a book where the main character is so unlikable? You know, at least like you look at other books where you've got villains like, say, Magneto or the Punisher. Punisher's a character who's a bit, you know, when you read him in other books, when he comes over, he's a bit insane. They tone that down in his own book a bit, and you get into his head a bit more, so that he's a bit more likable and understandable and relatable. With this book, Tony just comes across as a jerk, and if this is going to be the long-term kind of direction of the book, I do worry. Also, as a long-time Iron Man fan, it was a bit sad to see him back on the drink, and to see his life obviously beginning to fall apart a bit. And you know there are going to be long-term ramifications of this, and that's going to be the interesting part, see him build himself back up and deal with this. But going through that stage at the moment, it's difficult. You know, I know that this character isn't real, that he's not a real person, that he's a comic book character. But I've followed this character since I've been a kid. I know this character better than I know certain members of my family. And that might be sad to admit, but that's how it is. So it's sad to see a character that you've known that long and you care about fall upon hard times and kind of fall back. So the first half of the book was tough reading, and I wasn't sure I really liked the book. But then we get to the twists. We get to the reveal of what this new Extremis is and what Tony's plan is. And then from that reveal we get another reveal, and oh my god, the two twists definitely changed my mind on the book and definitely made me want to come back next issue and to see what happens next. They got me. So good work by the writing team on this, because, well, it's just Tom Taylor, it's not a writing team, it's Tom Taylor. But good work to Taylor on this, because I was sort of going along with the book thinking, I don't like this, but then they got me. The art all through the book is just fabulous. I really enjoyed the art. We get some cameos here, which are really cool. Which is really cool. And like I say, the art as well is just great. So yeah, all in all, I ended up really enjoying it, even though I wasn't sure about it. Long term, I do worry about the direction with such an unlikable character, but certainly I'm going to give this book a few issues to see where it goes, because the twists have definitely got my attention, and I give Superior Iron Man issue number 1 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have Nova. A bit of a dark cover, that is. I don't know how well you can see that in my light. This was a fun story, fast paced. I liked basically the gist of this story, is we saw Nova in Axis issue number 5, and this kind of follows where he went and what he does. So it ties into Axis, but it shows you what he's doing in that. And what I liked about it is the tie-in doesn't kind of, you didn't really need to read anything else. If you're just reading Nova, you could kind of follow it. They give you enough information to be able to follow the story, which is good. I like that his first kind of thought was to get his family out of harm's way. That felt real, and I liked that, and that gave the book a bit of emotion. There are some funny moments as he's rescuing people. That was good. And even when he's fighting the Hulk, there are some funny moments. I like that the fight with the Hulk was short. Usually you get these big battles with people, but in real life, most of the time when you have a fight, they're over pretty quick. They don't last that long. So I liked how the fight was really quite short. It's a fun issue, if unspectacular, and doesn't really have much depth apart from like the emotion of rescuing his family. But all in all, though, it was still a fun issue, and I'd give Nova issue number 23 4 stars out of 5. So now moving on to the all-new Captain America. I really loved this. I was looking forward to this, and it lived up. I really enjoyed it. I loved, like, we get Batroc in here. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And we get Captain America, and they're fighting. And I really loved the dialogue between those two characters. I thought that was really great. Steve's son, Ian, is now Nomad. And you can see there's a bit of an attitude problem, a bit of a difference that Cap is going to have to deal with at some point. So I liked the planting of seeds for further on down the line. I liked the whole kind of mission that they were on in here. That was really cool and a great way to introduce the character and to show what he can do. And to show him confident in the role. I thought that was really good. And he feels like Captain America. I think Sam really steps up, and I liked that. I love the reveal at the end when they just think they're out of danger and you kind of get the reveal. I thought that was brilliant as well. And the art here is fantastic. There are just some beautiful pages you've probably seen in the previews, like this kind of like near the beginning of the issue. It's just fantastic, and all the way through, Imminent's art is just brilliant, and I'm so pleased to see him on Cap because he does such a great job. But yeah, all in all, this was just a really great first issue. Really loved the potential that they're building here, and yeah, this book, if I wasn't already, I would definitely be on board after reading this. And I give All New Captain America issue number 1 5 stars out of 5. So now we move along to Thor issue number 2, and we finally get to meet our Goddess of Thunder. I'm really liking the mystery around who she is, and I hope they don't like reveal it too soon. I hope they carry it on for a bit, because I remember with Red Hulk, and it went on for a while where we didn't know who he was. And I know it's slightly different with Red Hulk because he wasn't the main character of a book, but even so, I still would really love to see this mystery be kept for a while. She is totally badass, but you can also, I like the inner monologue that we're getting, that she's still new for this and she's not quite sure how to do everything yet. So that was really cool, seeing that newness, but also seeing her step up to the role. There's so many villains in this issue that it is fantastic, because basically we get to see the return of Aga, Dario Aga, and the head of Roxxon. And, you know, the Frost Giants want that skull back that they found. We got Malkia thrown into the mix as well. And there's Troll as well in there. It's just so many villains, but it's really great. And then we throw in the Goddess of Thunder, and that's brilliant. A bit creepy the way Malkia wears Thor's arm around his neck, like a trophy. But also kind of cool. So that was nice, kind of little throwaway thing they put in there. The cliffhanger I loved how that developed, and how it's kind of built to that moment, and I'm really excited to see how our goddess is going to get out of this situation. The art on this issue, Dalterman does a stellar job, and the art is definitely in some really good hands. All in all, this was really, really good. If you enjoyed Thor, God of Thunder, I definitely recommend giving this book a go. I definitely recommend, because it's a really good read, and I give Thor issue number 2 5 stars out of 5. So moving right along to She-Hulk issue number 10. This was a really good conclusion to our 3-part story, with Steve Rogers being accused of murder before he was Captain America, and he kind of has like, he wants this to develop in a certain way. So Daredevil is prosecuting the case while She-Hulk is his defense, but he won't let her do a lot of like stuff that you would do. He wants to let this story kind of fall out. I really like this issue in the way that everything's kind of really well explained. I love the court format, and that works really well. The art team on this issue do a really great job. From little things to when they're giving their final arguments, they each get a page where they're giving their final arguments, to when we're having the memory scenes that they've got, you know, a little bit of colour in, but it's mostly black and white. But there's that little hint of colour in there that's just enough. But yeah, this book was really good from start to finish. Culminates the story beautifully. Everything, you know, you get an answer to, and everything gets done nicely, that I really like. And it just feels as a creative team, everybody on this book are just coming into their own. And it's such a shame that we've only got 2 issues left. You just think what this run could have been if they would have been given more time. So yeah, that's a shame, but I really enjoyed this, and I give She-Hulk issue number 10 5 stars out of 5. We then have a Captain Marvel issue number 9, and this was another really good issue. I just love how Kelly Sue DeConnick writes Carol Danvers. You know, the way that she's badass, she will kick ass if she has to, but she can also be compassionate, she can also be kind and caring, she can also be funny. She's a real well-rounded character, you know. It used to be the way that if a female was going to be as tough as a man, she had to out-macho the man. And I like that we've moved away from that, and that female characters can be well-rounded characters now. And I think it's a great time to be a female fan, at least from the male side it looks like that, because there are so many really good books out there, not just like written by females, but female characters out there that are really well thought out. They're not just tits and ass, or they're not just like hyper macho sized women. They are real, legitimate, you know, well-rounded characters, and there are so many really good female books right now that I'm really pleased. I think the balance is about right at the moment. Maybe I'm wrong, but from my perspective, I think the balance is about right. And I think the comic companies are beginning to learn that there's an audience for these kind of books, so they're doing a bit more work. You look at Marvel, a few years ago they had very few female-led books, and now you look that they've got books like Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, okay, that's finishing, but it's still been there. You've got Miss Marvel, you've got Spider-Woman coming out in the new year, we've got Gwen Stacy's Spider-Girl, we've got Silk, we've got Gamora, we've got Storm. So many female-led books now from Marvel and DC as well. So it's I think a great time for female fans and for female characters. But for me, Captain Marvel is up there probably with She-Hulk as one of the best written, and such a well-rounded character. And she doesn't have to be a bitch. She can still be a nice person but be badass, and I like that. This story, it's kind of got a serious center, but it's wrapped up in a kind of fun packaging. The center of kind of like that, where this prince has to marry to become king. He can't become king, but the females, they can pass on marriage, but he has to marry to obviously can't become king, and so he needs somebody to marry. They can go away then, but he needs to do that, and you've got this kind of serious, kind of political kind of thing at the center of it, but then that's wrapped up in all this fun packaging. As this planet, they only speak in rhyme, so that makes it kind of fun. It gives it this fun element to it, so which I really liked. But yeah, this book is just really, really good. It's almost a one and done story, but the end you gather we're leading on to something else. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I give Captain Marvel issue number 9 5 stars out of 5. So our penultimate book this week is Guardians 3000 issue number 2. I really enjoyed this. It's a timey-wimey kind of story, but I really enjoyed it. It's a bit difficult. I'm still trying to learn all the characters, and certainly because they met up with these other characters in the first issue, all these different like leaders of these different planets. So there's a lot of characters in this that I don't know, and it's kind of remembering all the names and getting around them all. So that's a bit tricky. But other than that, I think the story explains itself really well and is quite easy to follow. It's just remembering the characters' names and what they can do I found quite difficult. I like the way their language, their verbiage is written. That it feels like it's from a different time. the way they speak. I think that's really clever how they've done that. But yeah, this was a good book, and I really enjoyed it. But like I say, a lot of characters to learn. I think this is one of those books that once I'm a few issues in, if I reread the first few issues, I may enjoy them a lot more. Even though I did really enjoy this issue, just because there's so many characters. But I'd give Guardians 3000 4 stars out of 5. So our final book this week, it is SpiderVerse issue number 1. Coming into this, I thought this book was going to be... We had Amazing Spider-Man last week that kicked off SpiderVerse. I thought this was going to be like part 2. This is going to be all the spiders meeting up and making their plan. And it's not that. This should have been Edge of Spider-Verse issue 6. I don't know why they've called it SpiderVerse issue 1, because it's the same thing. We're meeting all these different kind of spiders and getting their stories. And once I got my head around what it was, I enjoyed it. But initially I was a bit disappointed because it was nowhere near what I was expecting. However, the stories are fun, and there's some really creative and inventive ideas. We have this little introduction with the Master Weaver introducing all these different worlds. We then go through these different worlds. We kick off this first one. It's kind of like a manga Spider-Man, where he's this like ninja, and he has to go to fight his brother Venom. And that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. We then have our steampunk spider, Lady Spider, which is really cool. Again, the art shifts and the art changes for the story, which I think works because they're all different stories, so it worked. But it was really cool seeing this steampunk, and she goes up against... I gotta find it because I want to get it right, how they... the 6 men of Sinistry she goes up against. So instead of the Sinister Six, it's the 6 men of Sinistry. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That was really good as well. We then have a kind of like a 1-page thing, and it's like it's a Spider-Man who's like in an advert, a world where it's like an advert for different products, and you have Merle, and that was quite funny, and I liked that. I thought that was, you know, how they're really playing with all the different versions of Spider-Man, even down to like ones we've seen in adverts. We then have Penelope Parker, which I thought was just adorable, and I really enjoyed this story. And I just think that they should really... I don't know if this is a pre-existing character or something that they've just created for this, but I just think as an all-ages book, it would be adorable. And I would really love to see them do a Penelope Parker all-ages book. I think that would be super cool. We then, finishing off, we have like a Spider-Man story set out like the newspaper columns. And it's even like, it's so funny, you've got to read it, but it's so funny, because like they keep repeating themselves, and Morland's like, why do you keep repeating yourself? And it's this world where stories are, where like things run, like the newspaper strips, and so like, that was really cool. Like I say, a lot of really cool and fun ideas in this that I really enjoyed. Was disappointed because it wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be the continuation of where we left off in Amazing Spider-Man, which it isn't. It's not an essential pick-up. If you're enjoying Spider-Verse, I'd say I definitely recommend picking it up, because it's a lot of fun and there's a lot of really cool ideas in here. If you're not a fan of Spider-Verse, or you only want to get the main books, you could skip this one, especially because it's a $4.99 book. You could skip this one and you wouldn't miss none of the story. But I really enjoyed it. I thought a lot of really great ideas, and I'd give it 4 stars out of 5. So those are my reviews for another week. I will be back, all things being well, on Wednesday. My hours are changing at work. I don't know what I'm working yet, so I'm hopefully will have a video. I don't know, it could be Thursday, it could be Wednesday. There would definitely be a video. Somehow I will get a video done, but I'm not certain on what day my whole video is going to be, because work, changing my hours. I do not like change. Yeah, so that's not going to be good, but I will still make sure I do a video. And then I will be back next week. I think I'm picking up 19 books, so it'll probably be Sunday, Monday. My review will be up, because I've got a few more to read. I hope you've all enjoyed your books this week. If you like the video, please give me those beautiful thumbs up. I've been Jason. This has been my comic book review video. Bye for now.